And we should be live? Maybe? Perhaps? If so, then welcome everybody to another live stream repair. My desk is in a bit of a disarray here. Give me just a second while we get everything set up for the stream here. Thankfully, we've got a pretty easy Monday, it looks, for us. Looks like we've just got the one HomePod that came in from Gabriel. And if I recall correctly, theirs has no power. So that should be a pretty easy fix for us here. Let me double check my email, and while I'm at it, let me go ahead and let Gabriel know that we are in fact streaming and about to fix their HomePod. So let me just copy this link, go over to my Gmail, gmail.com here. Find Mr. Gabriel here. Yes, indeed, their HomePod doesn't power on. Sent. Okay, email has been sent. Let's get some of this extra stuff set to the side. I've got a few different projects going on right now. And I am gonna need that cable for my testing, so we'll take that. And this is my T6, yep. Okay. Let's get Gabriel's box opened up here and get to fixing. And while I'm at it, let's get that other camera fixed up here. Yes, yes. Beautiful. Alright, let's open up this HomePod. Gabriel, I do apologize. I did email you beforehand saying, hey, it's going to be a few more hours before I get to your repairs, and then lo and behold, I've got the time here and now to get it knocked out. So a little sooner than I told you, but that's the nice thing with the live streaming here on YouTube is I can start whenever I want, and you can always watch whenever you want. So here is Mr. Gabriel's HomePod. I appreciate that they already unplugged the power cable there and did not wrap it around the mesh. Alright, so no power, is that right? Let's get it plugged in and find out here. Yeah, sure enough, no power there. How much power draw do we have at the wall? About 4 watts being drawn at the wall. So pretty typical signs of the diode on the amplifier being shorted out. If we only saw 1 or 2 watts being drawn at the wall, I would more likely suspect a shorted capacitor on the logic board. But honestly, I would say 9 times out of 10, probably more than that, no power issues are caused by the same diode that shorts out on the amplifier. Very rarely is no power caused by something else. So let's get this open. see if our guess is right. Got that top off scotch free. Oh, that tool went, where did that go? Here we go. There we go. Where's my base? I need a base. Here we go. Can't work without my base. And we don't want to crinkle up any meshes here. At least not any more than they already are. Spam call. Don't waste my time. If you want to try, you can leave a voicemail. And they had all day to call me with their spam garbage. And not even 10 minutes into the stream is when they decide to call me. So they can save their scam and spam for another day. One of the perks of being born and raised for 18 years on one side of the state and then turning 18 and moving to the other side of the state with a new phone number is, well, I can pretty much trust that nobody else calling me with the same local area code likely anything legit here. The only time I get calls on that phone number are usually actually not local numbers, because that's my regular day job work phone there that loves to ring in the middle of my streams, and chances are if it's a local area code, it's not a legit call, because I only give out and use that phone number for technical support for my day job. And pretty much every single one of our customers at my day job are not also local. They're pretty much all over the country. None of them are around here in the same area code, so pretty easy for me to manually filter out the legit from the spam calls here. That's also kind of why I don't have a public phone number for my HomePod repairs here. Because as you can imagine, if I were to just put that phone number on my website and freely hand that out to anybody who, you know, has access to that information, I would be absolutely inundated with more messages and calls about, hey, I don't know, fix blinking volume buttons, than I've really got the time to deal with. And, well, I mean, if people took the time to use the resources already available to them, they would have half their questions answered. But also, I probably wouldn't be here fixing half these HomePods. So, anyways, my whole point really is I don't have a phone number for these HomePod repairs that I give out publicly, because honestly, I don't want to deal with it. The whole idea of me having everybody send me an email is I'll get the time when I have the time and patience and what have you to sit down and go through my emails and reply to them. That's when I'll do it. Whereas calls and text messages, people tend to, and those same things tend to have a sense of urgency, especially when people don't give you any sense of urgency. They just kind of like drop the problem on you with no idea on like priority or hey, no rush or whatever. I'm a high stress, high anxiety kind of guy. So I'm immediately going to assume the worst and that this person's going to want an answer in the next 5 seconds, or they're going to think I'm some whack off or something. I don't know. Hope that makes sense though. For sure, if maybe one day I end up running my own full-fledged business with employees and such, of course I'll have like a phone number and like instant messaging and stuff, and I'll probably have somebody pretty much dedicated to fielding and answering those those calls and emails, but I have no idea at this time where I'm going to be going with any of this other than fixing HomePods and doing my regular job on top of that, which I don't mind at all. I do love my regular day job. It does tend to take a lot of free time away from me, but it pays really well. It's got amazing benefits, and I've got this sort of flexibility to do things like this here too when I do have free time. And as far as I know, they could care less that I'm sitting here fixing people's stuff in my free time, as long as I don't prioritize it over, you know, if I get a call from somebody at work and they need help with something, I will drop everything. I'll stop the stream if I need to even, and I'll go and help them out, because that is my #1 priority. And I'm sure that's just the way it should be. The HomePod repairs are what I can get done in my free time. also wake up super early for my normal job. I'm up anywhere from like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, so that way I can knock out my work and get all the important stuff out of the way and earn some free time for myself in the mid-afternoon time. And then if there's anything else I need to work on, I usually end up hopping back on afternoon, evening time to wrap up other regular work job things, or help out with a few international customers who are flipped on the clock there. We've got the amplifier out, and in just over 15 minutes, it's a little slow for my usual work here, but to be honest right now, I feel physically beat up. Oh man, I forgot my multimeter in the car. I will be right back. Give me like 30 seconds to a minute to run out there and go grab that. Okay. Yeah, I had this in my project car. It's a 1986 Nissan 300ZX. And, well, I've been cranking up the boost on it, and the stock fuel pump has not been keeping up well with it, so I upgraded to a Walbro 255. And now I've got plenty of fuel for all the extra boost that I've been adding to it. Yep, that diode is very short, so let's get it replaced with a fresh new one. See if we can get this amplifier powering on. And with or without DC offset, we'll find out. We'll go ahead and switch up cameras here too. There you go. Should be just about, there we go. Easy peasy. Alright, and then I just got these new containers here for storing all of my plastic bits, or all of my various repair bits. So we've got fresh diodes, fresh capacitors, fresh resistors, and then we've got the dead capacitors, dead diodes. Oh, look at them all. There's like 130, 150 of them in there. and then used diodes from repairs where we just preemptively replaced this diode regardless. So we'll stick that into our dead pile there. Go ahead and clean up our little pile here and put those out too. These are all dead. And then these ones are used. They still work, but they're old, that we pulled off of HomePods. Preventative maintenance. And then let's grab a fresh new diode for this amplifier. Put our parts away. And we will flux and tin this new diode and then put it on our board. Not too worried about how it's lined up, because as that solder melts, it'll just sort of suck itself into place, and then we'll tap on it a few times just to be sure. Make sure it's all melted down. Yeah, there we go. Too easy. Too easy, folks. That looks amazing. Let's get this board cooled down, and then we'll power it on. Should be good enough. I don't know where'd my I had spare screws to. Now we'll just reuse these. No biggie. We've got one concurrent viewer at the moment. I wonder who that one viewer could be. Who are you? Say hello. You don't have to. You can just lurk. That's fine too. Let's see, we need a power cable for this. All right, drum roll, please. Yeah, it's powering on. Let's get our multimeter connected to the subwoofer here, so when we turn the amplifier itself on, we can see if it's got any DC offset issues. Alright. And yeah, so we're reading 80 millivolts, which is already past that 50 millivolt threshold that I personally decide whether or not to replace these capacitors. So there's two reasons. I mean, we're well past 50 millivolts now, and it continues to just keep growing like this. So both of those are signs that we should go ahead and replace these filtering capacitors on the back of the amplifier. But if we ignore that, then it may work fine for them for a few weeks or a few months, maybe even. But I'd be willing to bet they would start to experience louder popping sounds, crackling in the bass, and most notably death farts. So we want to take care of that. Go ahead and nip it in the bud while we've got it apart here. And there are our capacitors to replace. Let's get those pulled off. There we go, easy peasy. Let's get some fresh capacitors from the pile here. I already don't like this container more than my last one. It's harder to pick parts out. Oh boy. Okay, we're going to get some flux on the pads for the board here, and then throw some low melt solder on there so we don't have to put the new capacitors through so much torture to get them in place. Alright. A little more flux and we'll start putting the new caps on. Alright, and then one more smack with some flux and heat for good measure here. Very nice. That should do the job. We'll want to give this plenty of time to cool down here because heat will have a direct impact on these capacitors' ability to filter that unwanted DC from our amplifier. So let's give this just a sec to cool down. That is cool. Well, just a little more. That should be fine. Should be plenty cool. Let's see if this board is playing nice with us now. All right, let's see if we got that DC offset resolved, or if we've got ourselves a cursed board here. I, of course, have high hopes. It'll probably start off with a little bit of DC offset and then settle down probably around 5 or 10 millivolts is my guess here. We'll just hang out for a minute here and make sure that that falls down to an acceptable level. Really, we should be waiting at least 24 hours after applying heat to these capacitors before testing the DC offset, because like I said, heat can have an effect on their ability to filter this DC from the audio signal. But also, there's this procedure that these types of capacitors, you can put them through to basically refresh them and restore them to their original capacitance. And that's by applying a specific amount of heat for a specific duration of time to those capacitors, which does something with reorganizing the crystal structure of them or something like that. Basically, all you really need to know is these types of capacitors that they use to filter the DC on this amplifier and are just like any capacitor that's the same as these type here. After a few years, it is expected for them to lose their capacitance over time. And you've basically got two options. You can just replace them, or you can try to re-cure them and see if you can bring them back to their original specification. And it seems like a lot of the industry can get away with reheating them into their factory condition again. But for me personally, I'm honestly I think that's a bit above my expertise and skill level and the tools that I have here. It's simpler for me to just replace those capacitors, and I'll collect them. I keep all of the old ones. Over time, we'll figure something out to do with them. Maybe they can be recycled and reused for something else, or I don't know. But I feel bad throwing away all of these parts, even if they're teeny tiny little components, because at the end of the day, it still does take resources to make them, and it would be a waste to just throw them away if they can be, if they are perfectly good with a little bit of rework there. But anyways, after a bit of rambling here, we've got a very acceptable result here of 5 millivolts. Well, my meter disconnected here. Let's get that plugged back in. There we go. We've got about 5 millivolts of offset here, so I think we've got this board all squared away and ready for at least another good few years of use, if not more. So let's get it off the bench here, properly put back together, and we'll be all done for the day. Not gonna lie, guys, today is definitely one of those days where I'm really happy that only one HomePod showed up. I don't know if I have the energy for 5 or 6 like sometimes. Oh no, where did that go? Dun dun dun. Oh, there it is. There's a hair in my eye. Ah! My eye. Ah. Alright, we will continue with one eyeball. Get that logic cable reinstalled. Drop in that power supply. Make sure we've got it lined up nice and neat before we push it in to connect it. Then we'll grab that AC connector and plug that in. I recently fixed somebody's HomePod from Korea, and well, it was actually kind of funny. When they first reached out to me and they wanted to send it in to me, they were having troubles with the with finding a way to actually send it to me because their postal service, for whatever reason, was convinced that the HomePod has a built-in battery. Because it has Bluetooth, it must have a built-in battery. And it's no, they don't have built-in batteries. The only time they even use the Bluetooth is for the initial setup process. So, we didn't have problems getting that sorted out, shipped to me, fixed, and sent back. But they went ahead and, after they got their HomePod back, they left a very nice review on my Trustpilot, which I really appreciate. And then they went into one of their, there's this, I think it's a Korean electronics repair forum or something like that. And they wrote a pretty lengthy blog post there about their whole experience. And I've been reading through some of the comments, and it's funny reading about everybody's input on there. Well, not funny, just it's interesting. Had to use Google Translator because of course I can't speak any Korean. I can barely speak English. But it was really nice to see that they put their trust in me, because it sounds like, based on their blog post, at first they were a little unsure, a little worried that they were going to send their HomePod to some stranger and get totally screwed and get nothing back. But I'm just really glad that that we were able to get it fixed up for them, and they had no surprises or any issues whatsoever getting it back, and all set up and working great again. But I just thought it was really funny that their post office almost didn't let them ship it because they said it had a battery in it. Of course it doesn't have a battery in it. I mean, anybody that really knows HomePods would laugh at the idea, but anybody who's not really in the know, totally understandable why you would think that. Maybe. Alright, get in there. There we go. Excuse me if you heard that. My apologies. Just listening to make sure that everything's all nice and sealed up before we start buttoning this all back up. If you're gentle, if you don't just stab your subwoofer, when you've got your subwoofer screwed down, you can firmly but gently push it in to listen if any air is escaping, indicating that your seal is not great and you've got something up with your gasket or a bent woofer, or maybe a screw that's too loose or too tight. Maybe you're missing a gasket entirely. But that's a little test tip for you. I'm not recommending everybody go and start poking their speakers, but you start to get a feel for, you know, how much you can push down on these and what they can take. I guess you could say I'm a speaker poker professional. I have quite a lot of experience in pushing in speakers. think that's a happy HomePod. Let's power it up and find out. Drum roll, please. Yeah. Yeah. Alright, let's just do some quick double checks here.
Tengo dificultades para conectarme a internet.
Yeah, base is working.
Tengo
And our volume buttons light up nice and evenly. So this HomePod is happy, healthy, and ready to go again. And that's all that we've actually got in for ourselves today. Well, folks, if you have any questions about this repair or any of the repairs that I've done, feel free to leave them in the comments or check out my website, nixfix.com, where I've got all of the common repairs that I've done, as well as the parts that I use. And if you want, you can instead contact me through my website, and we'll get your HomePod sent in and fixed here on the channel. So, hope you all enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next one. Goodbye.